you know, because I did it totally on a whim. You guys have probably heard this, but how it came about was at the 2012 PWC in Sun Valley. You know, I think that was my second comp that I'd ever done. I was very new to comps, and the PWC, that was the one that Guy Anderson disappeared at, and you know, had this big search and rescue for him for a couple of days. So it was a pretty dramatic event, and then after it, we had kind of a open event, and the weather was terrible, it was totally unflyable. And the meet operator or the meet director just decided, well, we should do something that would be valuable. And you know, Russ Ogden got up and gave a talk. You guys can find that on YouTube. I videoed it. But and, you know, Nick Grease and all these legends got up and gave amazing talks. And I just kept thinking, like, God, I didn't know any of this stuff. You know, I don't find this anywhere. In the depth that they were saying, you know, the magazines have great stuff, but they were giving these long talks about minutia stuff, you know, food and hydration and all kinds of things. It was great. And so, and then almost 2 years later, we were filming 500 Miles to Nowhere, and we went and interviewed Bill Belcourt, who's the Russ Ogden of the U.S. He's our jockey. I mean, he's this guy's our Yoda, you know, and the way he talks about paragliding is just poetic and amazing. And so we had, you know, and a couple of his lines went into this little 7-minute film, but we had an hour and a half of stuff there. So that's the first one, because I really thought I was just going to do that and that would be it. And then, but people said, wow, that's amazing. So that's how it got started, is just thinking, like, God, how do we share all this? I love it. It blows me away. I think that I've definitely become a more conservative, safer pilot because of the podcast, for sure, because that's a real common theme that comes up. And I've learned a ton, and I totally dig it. I think it's just amazing. You know, I feel really fortunate that our sport allows, I mean, no one has said no yet, you know? I mean, we can talk to anybody. And it's such a cool community. I think it's just amazing that people, you know, I can call Jockey up, who's super busy, and he goes, yes, yeah, I think that's amazing. It's a really cool, and I love it because the feedback I get constantly is that people, you know, I've heard things like it saved their life and it's saved them from injury, and and there's people that don't fly that listen to it. I think that's really weird, but I just think it's really, yeah, I love everything about it. It's incredibly time consuming, but it's yeah, I get really excited to do it too, and you know, I'm thinking a lot more about it like as a job these days. You know, like I need to learn how to interview and get better sound, and you know.
Yeah, that's what I've been finding amazing about paragliding, and I've only been doing it for 2 years, is how tangible your heroes are, how approachable they are, and how really nice, normal.
Yeah, everybody wants to help.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, one thing we used to do with the British team is every team member has to be approachable, and we even used to say, even if it's a world championship, if a member of the public comes and asks you a question, you have to answer it. You cannot get moody. You cannot reflect your prima donna status on them. You know, they're asking you a genuine question, and you give them genuine time. And to the point where the manager would have to come in and say, "Oh, sorry," you know, but never the pilot. We always had a policy where you were always approachable at any stage, even 10 minutes before a launch. You know, and I think that philosophy carries on through because we're adventurers, we share it, and you know, it should always be inclusive because we're always on the hill, and you want to have an environment where you can walk up to someone and say, "Hey, what do you think of this? I've never flown here. What's?" And it has to be inclusive. Otherwise, it's dangerous because you know it could be harmful. So I think we've all done that. And when Gavin does something as good as the podcasts, and they say, "Hey, I'm just sharing this information. Are you in?" So yeah, of course we're in. You know. And it's sharing, it disseminates it through the community so quickly, and his podcasts are incredible. And of course you share the information, why wouldn't you? Why be elitist? There's no room for elitism in this sport, because it's so genuine. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a blast. It's really fun. And
The
it's
overall
really
concept of like what you go up on a sheet and then you get up and then you glide somewhere and then maybe you get another one. I still find it ridiculous. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
it's totally absurd. That's what's so awesome about it.
Especially when you try to
Everybody's smiling. This is really good. I must have nailed this.
Free beer on the house.
Oh man.
Anybody wants it? Until the battle,
Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you.